Something big is happening in Canada right now, something that's dividing the country like never before. Alberta just took a bold, controversial step that could completely reshape the balance of power between Ottawa and the provinces. The news is spreading fast, and if what's unfolding continues down this path, it could become one of the most defining political battles in Canadian history. So, what exactly happened? Alberta has just moved to expand its gun rights, a move Premier Danielle Smith says is about protecting the freedoms of law-abiding Albertans. But here's the twist. This announcement comes right as Prime Minister Mark Carney's government in Ottawa is pushing forward with a sweeping set of new federal gun control measures. Two opposite moves, made within days of each other. One expanding freedoms, the other tightening control. You can already feel the tension building. Now, the timing here isn't accidental. Alberta's move appears to be a direct response to Ottawa's plan to centralize firearm regulation, something that would effectively strip provinces of much of their say in how gun laws are enforced locally. Insiders are calling it a quiet showdown, Carney's Ottawa versus Smith's Alberta, both trying to prove who really has the authority over provincial policing and public safety. Let's break this down, because what's unfolding here isn't just about firearms. It's about control. It's about jurisdiction. And, in the eyes of many in Alberta, it's about respect. According to multiple Alberta sources, the new measures aren't about encouraging gun ownership, at least, not officially. They're about what the province calls firearm sovereignty. Alberta's government reportedly plans to assert greater local authority over licensing, transportation, and confiscation, areas that Ottawa traditionally controls. That means federal directives could soon be subject to provincial interpretation before they're enforced. And that's where things get heated. Because just last week, Mark Carney's government introduced new steps to restrict semi-automatic rifles, tighten background checks, and expand federal oversight on provincial gun programs. Ottawa says it's about public safety. Alberta says it's about federal overreach. Now, imagine the reaction from both sides. In Edmonton, the mood was celebratory, local gun owners and rural leaders applauding Smith's stand for provincial autonomy. But in Ottawa, reports suggest there's quiet frustration. Some federal ministers are said to be pushing back hard, warning that Alberta's move could undermine national consistency on firearm control. One senior federal source, according to political watchers, even described Alberta's move as a constitutional grenade. And here's where the story starts to get really complicated. Because Alberta's decision isn't happening in isolation. Saskatchewan and Manitoba have already been watching closely, and some local politicians there have hinted they might follow Alberta's lead. Western solidarity on firearms? That's something Ottawa doesn't want to see right now. Danielle Smith, meanwhile, seems to be doubling down. In a recent statement, she said her government will not allow federal overreach to trample on provincial rights or rural traditions. But it's what she didn't say that's getting attention, because she didn't specify how far Alberta is willing to go to resist federal enforcement. That's left analysts wondering, what happens if Ottawa pushes back? Think about that for a second. The federal government enacting new gun control rules, and Alberta simply refusing to enforce them. It's the kind of jurisdictional standoff that hasn't been seen in modern Canadian politics. And it's fueling an old debate that never really went away. How much power should Ottawa really have over the provinces? Now, if you look at the pattern of recent events, Alberta's push for more control over pensions, policing, energy, and now firearms, you can start to see a much larger strategy forming. It's not just about guns. It's about identity, about autonomy, about drawing a line in the sand. And many in Alberta believe Ottawa crossed that line long ago. Meanwhile, in Ottawa, the tone couldn't be more different. Prime Minister Mark Carney has reportedly told his caucus that the federal government will not compromise on national safety. He insists the new gun restrictions are designed to prevent tragedies and curb illegal weapons trafficking. His supporters say Alberta's move is reckless, that it undermines national cohesion. But Smith's supporters are firing back, saying Ottawa is ignoring the realities of rural life, where firearms aren't symbols of violence, but tools of livelihood and protection. One Alberta MLA put it bluntly, Ottawa doesn't understand the West. They never have. And that's the sentiment echoing across talk radio, online forums, and rural communities throughout the prairies tonight. A feeling that this isn't just another political disagreement, it's a cultural one. But here's where things start to get murky. Some insiders claim Alberta's government is quietly consulting legal experts to prepare for a possible constitutional fight, reviewing whether provincial law enforcement can, under existing statutes, refuse to enforce certain parts of the Federal Firearms Act. If that's true, it could set up a legal and political confrontation that could drag on for years. Meanwhile, Ottawa appears to be preparing its own response. While no official statement has been released beyond the Prime Minister's brief remarks, there are whispers that federal agencies may seek to bypass provincial oversight entirely by working directly with the RCMP, which, remember, is still federally controlled in many areas of Alberta. That's where the real tension lies. The RCMP enforces federal law, but Alberta's new push could complicate that relationship. Imagine provincial directives conflicting with federal orders. Who do local officers answer to? Whose law takes precedence? This isn't just political theater anymore. It's turning into a question of governance. And it's not just politicians paying attention. Across social media, thousands of Canadians are weighing in, some hailing Alberta for standing up to Ottawa, others warning that the province is crossing a dangerous line. The online divide mirrors the political one, with hashtags like #GunRightsForAlberta and #NationalSafetyNow trending side by side. What happens next could define Canada's future. For now, all we can say is this: Alberta's move isn't just symbolic. It's a message, one that Ottawa can't ignore. A message that says, we decide for ourselves. Whether that message turns into a movement, well, that's what everyone's watching for. And as the political temperature rises, one thing's certain, this story is far from over. Because once a province challenges Ottawa this directly, there's no easy way back. The next few weeks could determine whether Canada's federation bends or begins to break.